our next head basketball coach and let Stephen make some remarks, and then for the media we'll do Q&A. If you can just raise your hand and we'll get a microphone to you.
Great. Good morning. War Eagle. Welcome to a momentous occasion here at Auburn University. We have some Board of Trustee members here today, along with our president, Dr. Chris Roberts. I would love for those folks to stand. The countless hours they spend representing you, the Auburn family, on a daily basis is a humbling and remarkable thing. So I'd like those Board of Trustee members and Dr. Roberts to please stand and be recognized this time. We appreciate their support and their guidance in this process. Before we introduce our new head coach, I'd like to say some words about our old one. I'm sorry. Previous one, not a one. Before we look ahead, let's take a few moments to look back. Quite simply, Bruce Pearl is a Hall of Famer. I look forward to 2030 when we fully expect Coach Pearl to be enshrined in the Naismith Memorial Hall of Fame. Because if 694 wins, a Division II national championship, 5 SEC titles, and 2 Final Four appearances, the only men's basketball coach or football coach in SEC history to lead 2 programs to a #1 ranking, if those credentials are not deserving of the Hall of Fame, then I don't know what is. Coach Pearl is not only a Hall of Fame coach, we all know, he's a Hall of Fame person. Many times in this process, many times, I advised BP to look at where he was on a mountaintop of the coaching pantheon, with all the perks, including a lengthy and robust contract. But in the end, he kept returning to the same conclusion with me. He could no longer give the relentless effort and energy it took for him to build the Auburn men's basketball program into what it is today. So he decided to step down. But not before taking the Auburn men's basketball program where it had never been before. And not doing it once, but twice. And he did it all by living out the values outlined in Auburn's creed. Every single day, a commitment to education with an SEC leading 48 of his players earning their Auburn University degrees. The human touch with his Outlive Cancer initiative and his commitment to charity. A love of country, a love for his family, and a love for Auburn. That's music to my ears. I am thrilled that Bruce and Brandy will be staying close by and that he'll continue to serve as an ambassador for Auburn University and Auburn athletics. When I joined the Auburn family almost 3 years ago, Bruce let me know right away that he was nearing the end of his time as head coach. Real integrity. That gave us a head start in beginning to prepare for what Auburn's basketball program might look like after Bruce Pearl. In a sense, we've been conducting a national search for 3 years. And after this year's historic run, including an SEC title and a visit to the Final Four, it became obvious to me after watching film sessions, halftime adjustments in the locker room, practice sessions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We need to keep this coaching staff intact if at all possible. Ira Bowman, Mike Burgomaster, Corey Williams. And I'm going to leave out some staff members, and I apologize. Due to time, we can't get to you all, and it's a large group, and a highly functioning group, the best in college basketball. And of course, Stephen Pearl. That group was one of the most elite coaching staffs I've ever been around in any sport. And in my mind, it had to continue. As the Auburn Creed says, I believe this is a practical world and I can only count on what I earn. Therefore, I believe in work, hard work. That's the first sentence. I believe our basketball staff has earned. And of course, in BP's honor, we need a strong head coach. This opportunity has been earned. We knew the next head basketball coach at Auburn needed to be someone with extensive SEC coaching experience, someone with a demonstrated history of winning championships, someone who could lead and keep intact this incredible staff, someone who understands and appreciates what Auburn stands for. Stephen Pearl checks every box. He was there day one when Auburn introduced Coach Pearl in March of 2014. From the ground up, he helped his father build something solid, then something spectacular. He earned multiple promotions to assistant coach, defensive coordinator, and associate head coach. Helped Auburn recruit legends like Walker Kessler and Janai Broom, among many, many others. He helped Auburn improve dramatically on defense. Stephen understands that even in an up-tempo, three-point-oriented game in the modern era, if you score 100 points a game, that's great, but if you give up 102, ain't nobody happy. The teams that consistently compete for championships, including Auburn, can do both and defend at an incredibly high level. Over the years, Stephen has had countless opportunities to pursue other coaching jobs. Every time he remained loyal to Bruce Pearl, and he remained loyal to Auburn. In today's athletic world, we pay homage to the student athletes who stay in one location for a duration of time. I think it's important for us to do the same for our coaches. Stephen Pearl has paid his dues. He's earned this opportunity. He's the right fit for Auburn at the right time. Along with his wife, Brittany. Sorry, Brittany. It's dark up here. I'm 59 as of Sunday, and it's dark up here. Brittany and their daughter, Lainey, please welcome the 22nd head coach in the history of Auburn men's basketball, Coach Stephen Pearl.
All right. Yeah, there's only one way to get this thing started, and War Eagle. War Eagle. Thank you all for being here this morning. I wanted to start by thanking our president, all right, Dr. Chris Roberts, our athletics director, John Cohen, our sport administrator, Janan Paul, the rest of John's executive staff, and the board of trustees for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be the head coach of this prestigious program. It's an honor to lead this university and this program into the next chapter of Auburn basketball. I've been preparing for this moment my entire life. You know, the last 16 years, I've been in every aspect that is college basketball. I played at the University of Tennessee, not very well, but I did play at the University of Tennessee as a player, as a student athlete. And then I started my journey here at Auburn in 2014. I started out as an assistant strength coach under Damon Davis. I worked my way up to director of basketball operations, was then promoted to assistant coach, and then was promoted to associate head coach and our defensive coordinator. That journey has shaped how I lead, how I listen, and how I build. It's given me a front row seat to the principles of what have made this program so successful, and that perspective, I plan to carry them forward with purpose. Listen, I fully understand the weight of this opportunity. I embrace it with gratitude, humility, and resolve. I know it comes with a tremendous amount of responsibility, okay? It's a different level of expectation, and it's a gold standard that Bruce Pearl has brought to this fine institution and this fine basketball program. It's given me a front row seat, okay, and it's given me the perspective I need to carry them forward. I will go to work every single day with the focus and the determination to reward you all for allowing me the opportunity of a lifetime to lead this program. I am here to rise to the moment. There's gonna be a lot of thank yous, all right, so bear with me, because I would not be sitting here if it weren't for so many people in and out of this room. I wanna start by thanking my wife, Brittany. It takes a special woman to be a head coach's wife, to just be a coach's wife. It does take an even more special woman to be my wife. Thank you for making my life so easy. Thank you for being my courage when doubt creeps in. Thank you for making the hardest days feel like something we can conquer as long as we're together. But most importantly, thank you for being Lainey's mom. I love you, and I can't wait to continue this journey together. Think about life's greatest moments, all of us. What's made them more special? It's when you share them with family. It's when you share them with close friends. I'm so fortunate that I have my family in this room today. It's made this moment for me that much more special, and it's one I'll never forget. But I'm not only blessed with an incredible family, I have such an unbelievable network of friends, mentors. A lot of those are sitting in this room right now. In the 11 years that I've been at Auburn, I've been so blessed to create so many new friendships, so many new people that I look up to, and so many new mentors. I love each and every one of you, and I'm so excited that we get to continue this journey together. They told me I gotta smile more, and I'm over here crying. BP, we have literally been together since day one. Literally. You and my beautiful mother, Kim, who made the trip down here from Knoxville. I love you very much, Mom. Thank you for being here. Welcomed me into the world in Iowa City, Iowa, and I've been a coach's kid ever since. Growing up, I was so lucky and fortunate, and coaches' kids get to do something that not a lot of people get to do. They get to go to work with their dads and do something really fun and really cool. I got to grow up watching him be in his element. I got to grow up in Evansville, Indiana, when he was at the University of Southern Indiana, and I would go to Pack Arena with him, and I would watch him with his shirt off, which I should have known that this was gonna be a trend moving forward, lifting with the players in the weight room, out bench pressing a lot of his guys. You know, I watched his daily interactions with fans and treating them as if they were family. I watched him take and make phone calls almost daily to just complete strangers, cancer patients, just offering them encouragement and trying to give them another reason to fight, or people just going through any sort of hardship just to love on him a little bit. I watched him be involved in every aspect of his program, no matter how small the detail or how small the impact. I remember when we were at Milwaukee, very early in his tenure there, we left the Clochy Center, we went over to the student cafeteria, and I had no idea what we were doing. I'm like, all right, maybe we're going to have lunch. We walk in the building, and this lunatic gets up on a lunch table and starts screaming at the students, encouraging them to come to the Kalachi Center to watch a basketball game. And obviously, famously at Tennessee, when he showed up with his shirt off and his chest painted for Coach Summit and the Lady Vols. I saw Coach Vickers here. Don't get any ideas, brother. That ain't happening. At the time, I thought this was normal. I thought this is what every head coach did. I thought it was the norm. I thought it was the standard. But quickly after getting into this profession, I realized something really quickly. It's what has made him it's what's made him special. It's what's made him unique. And like John said, it's what's made him a Hall of Famer. It's made you one of the best basketball coaches in the history of this game. The 5 years I played for you, the 11 years I've been under your wing have been some of the best years of my life. We've won 367 games together, 18 of those being in the NCAA tournament. We've won 7 SEC championships, and we've been to 2 Final Fours together. I can put a number on those accomplishments, but I can't begin to quantify what I've learned from you to prepare me for this moment. I love you and thank you. All right, well, today is technically, a news conference welcoming me as your head coach. I want to encourage the Auburn family and the people in this room that that's not how this should be looked at. The Auburn family today should be celebrating the retention of the staff right here. This staff has been with BP for a very long time, and this staff is a big reason why this program has reached unprecedented heights. I recognize following the greatest coach in Auburn basketball history, a coach who's dominated this league for the last 8 years, is a daunting task. But what gives me tremendous confidence is those men right over there. This staff is one that BP has empowered, it's one that he's entrusted, and it's one that has their fingerprints all over the success of this program. BP said for a really long time that we have the best staff in college basketball. And he's 100% right. Ira Bowman, my associate head coach. He just found that out, by the way. Ira Bowman is the total package. He is one of the best assistant coaches in all of college basketball, and he is ready to be a head coach. He's one of the best player development guys in all the game. He's a mentor. He's a father, unbelievable evaluator of talent. He understands the game. He's played at the highest level, and he's one of the most valuable tools any coach can have on their coaching staff. Mike Burgomaster, one of the best offensive minds in all of college basketball, has run our offense for the last couple years. A young and growing talent, another guy that's paid his dues, started as a student manager at Miami, a graduate assistant for us. I think he's had like 6 different titles that we've had over the years, assistant to the head coach, and now obviously an assistant coach, and going to be someone that I'm going to really lean on the offensive end, and a future star in this business. Corey Williams, an unbelievable man, one of the best men you will ever meet, not just in this profession, but in this world. His relationships with his players, his relationships with the staff, his ability to retain players, he's one of the best in the country at that. And not enough credit goes to that man on this staff for everything that he does for the success of this program. And I just have so much love, for Coach Williams. Ian Borders, so happy for Ian, was elevated to an assistant coach this past year. One of the hardest workers on our staff, a guy that's just a go-getter, a guy that is gonna be relentless, sometimes annoying, but relentless. And he is gonna be one of our better recruiters. He's one of our better minds, basketball minds. He's not gonna be here very long, I'm just telling you. Obviously he's an unbelievable asset to this program, and he paid his dues and he waited his time, and it's paid off for him. Matt Gatens found out yesterday that he was elevated to assistant coach. He is back on the floor, and he is back out on the road recruiting. So happy for him and Aaron. You know, they came here back in 2018, I believe. He was a graduate assistant, did an unbelievable job, and then was able to go out and be an assistant coach at Drake, and then be Fran's #2 guy at Iowa. He brings a tremendous amount of experience to the staff, and just, you know, call him one of my very good friends, and very blessed that he's back, you know, with our program. Marquise Daniels is a 10-year NBA veteran, a guy that our players confide in, a guy that our players trust, and a guy that just brings a different level of experience because he's been in their shoes before. He's played at Auburn. He's played in the league for 10 years, a place that they all want to get to. And that's just an unbelievable asset to have on our program. And he's really picked it up over the last couple of years. And he's a guy that I'll continue to lean on, I'll continue to trust, and a guy that's going to continue to get the best out of our guys. You know, Damon Davis, one of the other guys that's been here since day one of the best strength coaches in all of college basketball. Always has our guys in shape and ready to go, and you know, become a great friend of mine and my family, and obviously a tremendous asset to our program. Clark Pearson does as good a job as anyone keeping our guys healthy and on the floor. Maddox Jeffries has one of the most thankless jobs in college basketball as our director of ops. You know, the food's not good enough, the hotel pillows suck, you know, just who knows? And he just wears it and he loves it. And he's going to be a great coach one day. And I appreciate, you know, Maddox and his friendship and his organization, everything he does for our program. And down the line, Bridget Graba, our assistant who keeps our lives in order. Stephen Leonard and Mo Mills, our creative team. We have one of the best creative teams in all of college basketball, not just in college basketball, but our athletics department. And you guys saw the videos yesterday. They did that in a day, you guys. Like, who's able to do stuff like that and deliver it so beautifully? And Stephen and Mo are a big part of that team. Jeremy Napier, our team chaplain, a great resource for our players to deliver the word and be a mentor to them. Emily Daniels, our team nutritionist, you know, she takes her job and loves her job as much as any nutritionist we've had on our staff, and I just love the job that she does for our players. Kevin Fuhrer, another thankless job. He gets yelled at so much for not giving our guys enough socks, but he does a phenomenal job. You know, he works his tail off, and obviously really happy that he's on our staff. Dr. Regina Johnson and Courtney Gage in our academic center. You guys, we've graduated between 48 and 51 guys. We consistently have a 3.0 team GPA. We consistently have 1,000 APR, and that's one of the most important things that doesn't get talked about enough is the commitment to academic success in this program. And it would be impossible without you guys back there. And thank you all so much for your efforts and your diligence with these young men. Our graduate assistants, Reagan, Will, Jack, Jay, and our army of managers. You guys make this thing run, and we appreciate everything you guys do for us. Tigers Unlimited, On to Victory, external affairs team, student athlete support units, and even our local media. Thank you guys for the job you do. You make this program what it's been and what it's going to continue to be. To our current players, I had a really time putting this part of the speech together because there's so much that needs to be said, and anything I do say, I'm going to fall short, and I apologize for that. But I can't thank you enough for what you've already done for me over the last 48 hours, not just this summer, but the last 2 days has been taxing, it's been difficult, it hadn't been easy. And I can't thank you enough for how you've handled everything. You all came here to play for BP and the staff, not just the staff. The positive responses we have gotten from each and every one of you, and your unwavering commitment to this team, this university, and this program have been nothing short of incredible. It speaks to your character. It speaks to what we saw in the recruiting process and the young men that you are and what we know you're going to be. We were all rattled on Monday, me especially, because of, you know, some of your reactions. We were, you know, surprised. Abdul Bashir walked out into the hallway and just gave me a hug and said, "I'm with you, Coach, I love you." KO, same thing. K-Mag, same thing. I needed that in that moment, so thank you. It's immediate validation for why we knew you were such special young men and student athletes. I can't thank you enough for your resilience, your trust, and your loyalty to Auburn. At a time in college athletics where those three things are far and few between, the world can learn a lot from the men in our locker room, and I'm proud of that. I can promise each and every one of you that I will go to work every day, every second, to reward you for your decision to stay loyal to this staff and to this program. Thank you. To our players' parents, when a parent sends their son to come play at Auburn, they're entrusting the head coach, the staff, and the university to take care of their child and help them reach their potential on and off the floor. None of them were expecting this news, and none of them were expecting the phone call they received on Monday from me and BP. But every single one of them handled it with class and with respect. Thank you for trusting me and this staff with your sons to finish the job that we were entrusted in the recruiting process. I fully understand the enormous responsibility that lies in the hands of the head coach. Nothing changes. Nothing changes. Our commitment off the court to make sure your sons graduate and help them grow into the young men is our top focus and our top priority. And of course, on the floor, we will continue to work with them to sharpen the potential that we saw to help them not only win championships for Auburn, but to make it to that next level. Thank you for your understanding and thank you for your support. During the last 48 hours, I've received a ton of phone calls. I have over 1,000 messages on my phone, and for those of you watching online, if I haven't texted you back, I promise I'm not ghosting you. For those of you in this room who I haven't responded to, I promise I'm not ghosting you. I'm gonna get back to every single one of you. I'm gonna try and do so today and tomorrow. But I've received a ton of calls from former players, and it's been really cool to talk to those guys, to kind of relive some of the memories that they had here at Auburn University. Some guys I expected, some guys I didn't expect at all. Mustafa Heron reached out to me. And Mustafa Heron, a lot of you know, was here in our early days at Auburn and transferred out to St. John's. And I told Mustafa this is forever home to him, forever. And, he broke down on the phone and, told me that he loved us and this staff and, Samir Dowdy and Walker Kessler and Jabari Smith and obviously Charles Barkley, guys just reaching out left and right. And, I'm not sitting up here if it weren't for the sacrifices and the buy-in from every player that's been here over the last 11 years. I hope they take this moment as a celebration of the accomplishments that they had while they were at Auburn. As we move forward, it's important that each of you understand that this is home. This is your family, and we want you to help continuing what you built here. I can only hope that I made you better during your time here because you made me better as a coach, so thank you. Before we talk about where we're going, let's first share how I see the foundation we're building on, okay? There's a famous saying, excuse my English, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'd be a fool if I were to change things just for the sake of changing, just to prove to people that I'm not BP. The truth is, so many of the principles and the practices that we've built this program on over the last 11 years are things that all of us have had our hands on every single day in this staff to have the success we've had over the last 11 years. When it comes to academic expectations, our character assessments, team building, servant leadership, recruiting philosophy, player development, offensive and defensive game planning, you're gonna see a lot of the same things that you've seen over the last 11 years that has guided us because they've delivered results. If I had to point to one thing maybe, I probably won't be as active on Twitter as BP. Dr. Roberts, John, Jamie, yeah, you're welcome. I'm already winning the press conference, so this is great. I'm 1-0, let's go. I often get asked, what makes Auburn so special? The answer is, it's simple, you guys, it's the people. It's the people in this room. It's the people in this community. The Auburn family is a real thing. It starts with our leadership. the leadership of this university who are constantly finding ways to have made this the best institution in the country. To the faculty who are educating some of the best and brightest minds in the world today. To many of our coaches who are here right now and our student athletes who compete at the highest level day in and day out. To the students who have created the best home court advantage in all of college basketball in the jungle. To our donors, alumni, and local community who not only pour their support and their love, but their resources into making sure that this university and this athletics department stays at the highest level. That's what makes Auburn the loveliest village on the plains. I started my coaching career here. I asked my beautiful wife to marry me here. Our daughter Lainey was born here, and now I'm blessed to land my dream job here. To everyone watching and everyone in this room, I give you my word that I will pour every ounce of my being into every facet of this program to help sustain and build on the success that we have accomplished together. Thank you guys, and War Eagle.
Raise your hand and we'll get a microphone to you. I ask if you could make yourself identify your name and your affiliation before you ask your question. Start in the front row.
Justin Ferguson, Auburn Observer. Stephen, you have had opportunities in the past to go be a head coach. A lot of people thought that might be the path before you eventually would come back here. Now that you've got this job, just how much is staying here you think has prepared you for this moment instead of getting that head coaching experience elsewhere?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've been preparing for this moment, my entire life. Being under BP, as his son, then also as his player and as his coach, I've been able to watch him and the things that he does that helps build programs and sustain success. So there was really no better way for me to learn how to do it than to watch him do it every single day. Obviously, if I'd gone elsewhere and cut my teeth, sure, I could have gained some of those experiences, but he entrusts and empowers his staff, and he relies on his staff so much that we're doing things that a lot of head coaches are being trusted to do every single day already. So I gained a lot of experience, just in our day-to-day. Over the last couple summers, he's allowed us as the staff to, kind of run things in practice to gain some extra experience. And it's been really, important. It's been really helpful, and it's really helped us all grow in our journey to move up the ladder and to eventually one day all become head coaches.
Dan Peck, ESPN 106.7 and the Auburn Observer. You mentioned the responsibilities that come with these expectations. What are your expectations for how a Stephen Pearl basketball team will play?
Yeah, that's a great question. Let's talk about, just kind of what our philosophies are going to be. Offensively, we're going to be a team that's going to try and be an elite in multiple areas. We want to be elite in transition offense. We want to limit our turnovers. We want to make the simple pass so we don't give easy opportunities down at the other end. We want to be a great offensive rebounding team. We want to be unselfish. We want to make free throws. Those are 5 things that have really been important for this program offensively. As you know, and as some of you probably don't love, we let our players have a tremendous amount of freedom on the offensive end. And they take what some of you might call bad shots. But we need our players to have that confidence that we trust them to shoot those shots, and that gives them the ability to play their game, as long as they hold up their end of the bargain on the defensive end. Right? Yep. All right, Murph, I hear you, babe. Defensively, we've got to be elite in transition defense. We have to be elite rebounding, and we have to be elite at finishing possessions, okay? And those are non-negotiables. And that's something that our guys all understand. And it's what's led us to have the success that we've had on the defensive end, really, over the last 4 years. 3 out of the last 4 years, we've had a top 10 defensive team in the country. And there's just so many different areas that we've really thrived in and kind of built this thing on. And this year's team's going to look a little different because, offensively, I think our offense right now is ahead of our defense. We're going to be a team that's going to play really fast. It's going to get the ball up and down the floor, going to take some crazy shots, but we're not as big or as thick as we were a year ago. So we're going to play faster, and we're going to try and force more turnovers. It's going to require a tremendous amount of communication from our guys because we do a lot of switching. We change up our defenses from time to time, and it's going to require our guys to be in sync with each other and be on the same page. So a lot of the things that you've seen over the last 11 years are a lot of the same things that we're going to continue to do, on the floor. But for us, my expectation is that we have to get better every single week. That's been our messaging all summer. With a group of 10 new guys, that's really all you can ask for at this point. This is a team that throughout the year is going to get better week by week. We're going to get kicked in the face a few times early in the season because of the schedule. And it's interesting that Mike Burgomaster didn't show up today because I was going to give him some hell about the schedule that he laid out for us this year. It's going to do an unbelievable job of getting us ready for our conference play, but we're going to go through some adversity early because we're playing some really good teams. But as long as this team continues to learn from those experiences, continues to grow, this is a team that can beat anyone on our schedule. And, just really excited to continue the work that we've put in so far and to continue getting better.
Justin Hookinson, Auburn Sports on 3. Steve, just talk about being here in the beginning, going back to when you guys first got here and understanding where it was, where it is now, how the support's grown, just sort of the benefits of maybe understanding what it takes to win specifically at Auburn. Which team?
Yeah, we walked in the first day and we walked into the film room and I looked at BP, I said, are these the managers? KT Harrell's our only Division I player on the roster, right? It was a depleted roster, and it was a roster that had just been kind of beaten into the ground, I feel like, and they were just looking to do anything possible to win. And that team won 15 games that year and made a run to the SEC semis. Probably our least talented team since we've been here, but a team that hung on every word that we said and was just excited about the opportunity to play for a coach that was going to bring fire and bring life into them. And that first year, we really found out what the foundation of this place was and how special this place was because our fans poured into a group that wasn't necessarily delivering the results on the floor, but they were working their ass off to get there. And we knew that if we could bring in teams that we knew that could win some games and win some championships and get us back to the tournament, we knew that our support would follow. And to watch that growth from year 1 to year 11, can anyone in this room imagine what the last couple of years would have looked like in that arena? No. Everything, what I hear so often is it's impossible to get a ticket to home games, right? We have to go follow you to Tuscaloosa or to Oxford or to Athens or to Birmingham, or to Atlanta just to watch the Tigers play. And that's something that we have to continue and we have to keep going. And that's what we need the Auburn family to continue to do because these kids came here because of that support. And it's something that if we continue to have, I think, this team can do some special things. Was there another part of your question I needed to answer?
Well, just in general of understanding the support,
Yep.
like all the things that it's going to take to make Auburn specifically. Every place is different. Auburn's different.
Yeah. Yeah, Auburn's poured in a tremendous amount of resources to help this program be successful. And, we can speak to the NIL piece really quick, all right? Auburn has given us everything we need, through Tigers Unlimited, on to victory, Brett Whiteside and his team. John Cohen has just done an unbelievable job giving us the resources we need. But I want to just kind of walk through the last 3 years and what this program's done in the NIL space, okay? It's been about player retention. Okay, Janai Broom, Dylan Cardwell, Denver Jones, Chaney Johnson are just a few examples of guys that all could have left and gotten way more money somewhere on the transfer portal market. Every single one of them. They stayed loyal to Auburn because they loved Auburn. And they wanted to reward Auburn for the commitment they made to those players in showing up on the road and showing up in neutral games and showing up at the tournament and obviously showing up at home. That's why we've had the success that we've had. The best players in the portal are the players you already have on your team, all right? And that's what this team's been built on. This year was different. we had to replace 10 guys. And John and his team started getting ready a year in advance for this roster and for this team. And they launched us into the upper half or the upper 5 of our conference in NIL to put together a roster that is going to be able to compete this year. The commitment, the hard work, the time, the hours, the phone calls, the support from the people out there to put this roster together was substantial. And it was something that, we'll forever be grateful for, because without it, we wouldn't have been able to get some of the special young men that we have in this room today. That's what makes Auburn special. When you need Auburn to step up, they step up, and they always deliver.
Nathan King, Auburn Undercovered. Stephen, you just mentioned the importance of player retention. Now it's in a window here, a transfer window. Are you confident in everybody on this roster for next season?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously we're 48 hours out, and let's just talk through the realities of what happened on Monday, right? We had worked through, how we wanted to present it to the players, and obviously we were disappointed how it got out. We did not intend for it to happen that way, and it made an already hard situation even more difficult. And I think there's never going to be a perfect transition or a perfect way of doing things. There's just not. It's really hard to contain those things. But when it did happen, obviously the room was heavy. Our players were very understanding, though. While they were, it was just heavy more than anything, but they understood why. And having to have one-on-one conversations with each of them and their families have been nothing but, really positive, honestly. They have nothing but love for BP and understand and respect his decision, because at the end of the day, they understood that the career that he's built and the work that he's put in, he's earned the right and the opportunity to step down whenever he wants, okay, and in the way he wants to. He wants to spend more time with his grandkids. He wants to watch Lainey grow up and play volleyball or whatever she's going to decide to do. He wants to play more golf, like I think he's going to this afternoon at 3 or 4 o'clock, which is why he's not in a suit right now. He wants to spend more time with his family. He wants to spend more time at the lake. And he wants to stay in Auburn and help this university, help this athletics program, and help this basketball program continue to sustain the success that we've had. So our guys were all at practice yesterday. We had a great practice yesterday. We'll have a great practice tomorrow as well. Our players and their parents have all been phenomenal in our conversations, but we were very transparent with them, Nathan. We told them in the very beginning, listen, with this change, you are allowed the opportunity of a 30-day window to explore your options. And in the recruiting process, we told our guys, our commitment to you is to do what's best for you and your family. And at that point, if that's going somewhere else, we're going to support you in that endeavor. Do we want you to leave? Absolutely not. We want to keep this thing together. We want to keep this team together, because this team's got the pieces and the things that we need for them to be successful. And, it's going to take a little time, but we're getting close, and I feel like we're in a good spot right now.
Hey, Stephen, Rosie Langelo with WSFA in Montgomery. You're now the youngest head coach in the SEC. Todd Golden, I know he's one of your good buddies. What advice maybe has he given you, or what have you learned from him, and has he reached out at all? Yeah, I mean,
we talk almost every day, whether it's through text or through phone calls. So when he found out on Monday, it was, he called him. he was very excited, obviously. And I said, I need a favor. I need you to make me look good and write a great quote. And he said, I got you. So he spiced it up for him, said a lot of really nice things. But I mean, I told him, like, listen, man, like, I know, we're competitors, but we're also family. So I'm going to lean on him, because obviously he's been through what I'm going through right now. And, I know he'll always pick up the phone, except for the week that we're playing them. Probably won't pick up the phone then when I ask for his game plan and some of the play calls that they have and what their game plan is to stop Tahad and Keyshawn and Sebastian and K-Mag and, Abdul and Key and Murph, So, but no, I mean, he was obviously thrilled and really excited. And, he's been telling me for years that, I'm ready for this moment and this opportunity. And it's really special to have, a mentor of my same age who's been in this position for, I want to say like 5 or 6 years up to this point. So, but there's, it's not just him. Jake Diebler from Ohio State, Frank Martin, who was at USC, Kelvin Sampson, Rick Barnes, Bill Self, all guys that, John Shire, all guys that, have either reached out to BP or myself and said, listen, if you need help or any support or have any questions, call us. And to have that fraternity of coaches at your disposal, not only in addition to one of the greatest coaches in college basketball, it's obviously an unbelievable resource, and I'd be silly not to take advantage of that. So it's great to have those friends, in this business that are willing to help.
Jacob Goins, ESPN 106.7 in Auburn. You alluded to it there just for a moment, but you talked about your assistants that you're going to lean on and your friends in the business. But how much will you lean on Bruce Pearl, the former coach, and obviously your dad as well? How much will you lean on his experience, his love, and just what he can give you and advice when you need it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not going to be on, I'm not asking him to come to practice every day. I'm not going to watch film with him every day. There needs to be some separation there, but I'm going to ask him to come to practice every once in a while just to bring, some additional love and energy into the building, or if we're going through, if we lose a tough game and our guys need a little pick-me-up, like, I'd be crazy not to call him and ask him to come in and talk to the guys. I'm sure he's going to give me his input when our defense isn't what it needs to be, and I'm sure he'll call Mike when he's calling all the wrong play calls and tell him I would have called this and this. No, but no, I mean I'm definitely when some interesting scenarios pop up throughout the year that I just haven't experienced yet. Yeah, sure, I'm going to reach out to him and ask for his support and his advice because I think it can help. And I think I would be, like I said, I'd be a fool not to. So, but no, I mean, part of it too is like he needs to enjoy, retirement. He needs to enjoy spending time with his family. He needs to enjoy the things that he hasn't been able to do for close to the last 50 years. But when the time's necessary, I'll reach out to him when we need to.
2 questions on row 3.
Congrats, Stephen.
Thank you.
Yeah. What did you learn from your father about the importance of coaching with passion?
Yeah, he, as we all know, it looks like he's about to have a heart attack most of the time when he's on the sideline. But, I think one of the things about his passion is it's contagious, and I think our players feed off of it. I think for me as a head coach, though, I got to be a little different in that approach. I think when you're as tenured as he is and as successful as he's been, he's earned the right to have that passion. I think for me, my approach is going to be a little more subtle with our guys and allow our assistants to kind of act like I did last year. So I need to be a little more poised in my approach with our guys. But in practice, always going to bring energy, always going to bring that same passion, especially to the defensive, end of the floor. It's going to be important for us. But for this new group, a lot of it's got to be letting them play through mistakes and letting them kind of feel this thing out because we are so new. So I've learned that, our guys will feed off of it, but I also got to be careful with my approach just because, I am a new head coach, so I got to be sensitive to some of those things. And I think part of it too is BP came up in an era where, tough coaching was a little more, allowed and acceptable. Things have changed, and, you got to treat them all fairly, but you're going to treat them all different, if that makes sense. So I think our guys all know that, understand that, and I think I'll have a healthy balance of his passion and some of my poise when I'm out there.
Taylor Korn, The Barn. Coach, how surreal has it been opening your phone and seeing words of encouragement and messages of support from legendary coaches like you said, Kelvin Sampson, Bill Self, over the past couple days?
Yeah, no, it's. I replied back to Coach Sampson yesterday, and Coach Sampson's someone that I respect as much, if not more, than anyone in this profession. He's set the standard and he's set the bar for what all programs look to accomplish. So to see words of encouragement, it's validation, but it's also motivation for me to keep going and keep building, because if guys like that are recognizing the job that we're doing here at Auburn and our staff is doing, it's not just a reflection on me. Like, it's a reflection on the staff when those guys say those things, because none of this would be possible without that entire group over there. So it's more than anything, it motivates me to kind of keep getting better, keep growing, keep driving, and to not be satisfied with what we've done so far.
Stephen, because of the success that Auburn has had under Bruce and yourself and this staff, the expectation for what Auburn basketball can be year in and year out has been elevated. How do you react to that increased expectation?
Yeah, I mean, the expectations are the expectations, and there's only one way to tackle those, and that's to dive in head first. And we tell our players all the time, you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. We got to be comfortable in these expectations because they are what they are. The expectation is to win championships. The expectation is to graduate our players. The expectation is to help get our guys to the next level, and that's what we're going to do. And that's what our commitment is to these young men. That's what our commitment is, to this university. And that's what our commitment is to this fan base. So we're not shying away from what it is. We understand what it is. I don't think a lot of coaches would have been lining up for this job just because of following him is going to be really difficult. But I think, I know that this staff is the staff that's capable of doing it, and it's the staff that's going to do it. So we're going to dive in head first. And obviously be really excited about the challenge, and we're going to get comfortable in those expectations.
Peter Rodriguez, AO.com. Stephen, what's your philosophy as a recruiter, and how do you kind of keep that success going that BP has had for so long since he's been here?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at over the last 11 years, we've had 7 top 25 high school recruiting classes, and we've had some unbelievable evaluations in the portal. And a lot of those things are going to stay the same. I think for our young freshmen, we're going to look to find people that can come in and contribute right away. And we're fortunate enough that we have 3 freshmen on our roster right now that can all contribute right away. So incredibly proud of the guys that we've brought in this year and really excited to kind of see what they can grow into. But in today's day and age, we've had a lot of success in the transfer portal. You look at 2 of our last 3 All-Americans, Walker Kessler and Janai Broom, both products of the transfer portal. And our staff's done a really good job of evaluating and finding guys that fit what we do offensively and defensively to fit our program to have a lot of success. We've gone after guys that haven't really been over-recruited. A lot of guys that we've brought in have been under-recruited. Guys like Denver Jones, guys like Miles Kelly, guys like Samir Dowdy, Malik Dunbar. I could go on and on of guys that were being recruited by mid-major teams or some of the not as successful high majors in the portal, and they were able to come to Auburn and have unbelievable success. If you look at since 2017, every transfer that we've had on our roster to date has won an SEC championship. I'll let you guys type that down. That's pretty good. All right. It speaks to this staff and their ability to build and construct rosters. And if you look at our 5 SEC championships, every team has looked so different. Some teams have been elite defensively and just okay offensively. Last year's team had a little bit of both. The year before had a little bit of both. The Final Four team was explosive offensively and is going to look like this team a lot defensively. Going to give up some points, but we're going to create turnovers and we're going to get out and go. So the fact that we've been able to do it with so many different types of players and types of rosters, I think it speaks to the eye that all these guys have for what they know fits what we do so well, and we'll continue to do that so we can continue to maintain the success and build on the success.
Rory Garvin, Auburn Plainsman. What was it like going to the Final Four last year, in your dad's last season coaching, and what did you take away from that experience?
Yeah, I mean, to be able to go to our second Final Four since 2019 was an incredible experience. To finish out the year last year, we'd kind of gone through a little bit of a tough stretch. We won the SEC championship with a week left to go in the season, and we had a few injuries going down to Texas A&M, and we obviously lost a heartbreaker at home to finish out the season. And for our team, to kind of come together, for Dylan Cardwell to step up in a team meeting and basically said what needed to be said to get our guys to lock in, to make one final run, changed everything and allowed us to win 4 games against, I think 2 top 10 teams and a top 25 team in Creighton to get a really tough road to a Final Four. It never gets old. It's something that, when you walk in, you're always amazed and you're wowed when you walk into that gym and you see how big it is and you see your players' reactions, which is always really cool. But to get there, and obviously we've come up short twice, it drives and motivates the staff to do everything we can day in and day out to find a way to get back and obviously finish the job. So it's incredibly rewarding, but it's incredibly motivating as well. And it's something that, we've set our expectations to, moving forward for the program.
Stephen, Jonathan Hoppy with WBRC in Birmingham. At what point during your time here at Auburn did you realize that taking over for your father was a real possibility? And then how specifically over the past couple of years have you maybe prepared for this moment?
So BP and I have been, having hypothetical conversations for a couple years now on just when he would specifically, hang it up. And, we weren't sure when that was going to be. It didn't become a reality until Sunday, because that's when, John pulled me aside and offered me the job. BP had set a date with our executive team on when he was going to make a decision, and that decision was going to be on Sunday. So behind the scenes, we were getting ready for two different scenarios. So I wasn't, going to let myself get too high or too low. I was just going to stay focused in my process of helping this team continue to grow and continue to get better and continue to build, while he was weighing his options. And ultimately on Sunday, when he came in and told John, John then pulled me aside after the fact and, told me and made me aware of his decision. And that's when the reality sunk in, and, was very surreal when that moment happened. It was, it was tough at the same time, because you walk in and you saw the setup, to see all that he had accomplished in his time, his 11 years here at Auburn was, it hits you all at once, and obviously just incredibly proud of who he is as a coach, as a man, and obviously somebody that I have a tremendous amount of respect for, and can't thank enough for everything he's done, for me and for our family. But yeah, I didn't set in until,